Hello there. It's Stephanie, host of the Books in the Freezer podcast. I recently started a bonus podcast series called The House at the End of Fear Street on Patreon, where I and a guest will be talking about the books in R.L. Stine's iconic teen horror series, Fear Street. So, the first episode is, of course, about the first book in the series, The New Girl by R.L. Stine, published in 1989. And joining me on this inaugural episode is Mr. Cameron Chaney, who you may know from Instagram and YouTube as Library Macabre, where he has an incredible book collection. If you were a 90s kid, I highly suggest going and checking out his page. So, as I mentioned earlier, yes, this will be a Patreon series. So, the full episodes will be available on Patreon at the Malevolent Spirit level. But I thought it would be fun to add little snippets here on the main feed to give you a little taste. And just one more thing for my Apple product using friends and listeners. Apple has recently instated a 30% App Store fee. And this is for Patreon. So if you are using this on like an iPhone and you decide to support a Patreon, not just this Patreon, honestly, any creator on Patreon, don't do it through the app. Be sure to support any new Patreons through a browser. This does not affect you if you are already a Patreon supporter. This is just any kind of new Patreon you decide to support. So, just a little reminder for my iOS friends. And here is the first few minutes of my conversation with Cameron Chaney, all about Fear Street #1, The New Girl. And yes, I'm sorry, I do have another 40-second theme song because I love a 40-second theme song. Feel free to skip ahead. Welcome to The House at the End of Fear Street, a podcast covering the R.L. Stine teen horror book series, Fear Street. This is the inaugural episode, and I thought for the starter episode, for the first episode, we needed a Fear Street expert to start us off. So I thought, who better than Mr. Cameron Chaney, BookTube's
Hello.
very own Library Macabre, to ease us into this journey?
Yay! Thank you for having me on. I will say I'm not as big a Fear Street expert as there are others, but I know enough. So I think I can get you through the first episode.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what's your history with it? Because I feel like we are similar ages, and this was kind of like they were published before our time.
Yeah, a little bit. I would say, okay, so I started off with Goosebumps. Goosebumps came out the year before I was born, 1992. So I was kind of just born into Goosebumps, like immediately out of the womb. For some reason, I was just into Goosebumps. That's just all I wanted to read, all I wanted to watch, and my
They
mom
handed
was
it to you at the hospital. They're
they
like, "Here
really
you go."
did. So my mom, for some reason, I just had a fixation on scary stuff. I don't know where it came from because my mom didn't like scary stuff. It was kind of forbidden, but she was okay with Goosebumps. So she was like, "All
Yeah.
right, we'll do this." So she started like taking me to the library and we'd read Goosebumps together. And then as I, started reading them for myself as I got a little bit older, I was like, well, I've read all these and I want something that's just a little bit edgier, like a little bit scarier. Because for me, it's like I love Goosebumps, but I always
Yeah.
kind of wanted it to go a little bit
Yeah.
further. So then I was like, wait, what's this? There's this thing called Fear Street. It's for teenagers. So I started reading those and just fell in love and read tons of them through, let's say maybe around the time when I was 9, 10 years old. And then through my teenage years, I blew through a ton of them because they're so short and easy to read.
Yeah. What are your like standouts in the series? Like if someone were to ask you your favorites that you've read so far.
I think um, I'm a little bit biased towards Silent Night, which was a super chiller, as they were called. They're just a little bit thicker by like 5 pages. Um, that book in particular, it's a Christmas horror, and I love Christmas horror, and that kind of launched my love of Christmas horror. So I tend to read that at least every other year. Um, and it's just so good. But there are so many other great ones in the series. There's Goodnight Kiss, which is about vampires on a beach. It's a little bit Lost Boys. I love that one. It's so
Ooh,
fun.
okay.
It's so funny and goofy. Um, the Fear Street Saga trilogy, the original Saga trilogy, is like some of the best Fear Street work out there, even though it goes back in time. So it's not like the perfect representation of a normal Fear Street book. It's just so well written and dark and twisty and turny. And it goes back to like all of those legends of Fear Street and all of these things that the kids in town make up about Fear Street. And then it goes back in time to that, to where that all took place, and it kind of turns it all on its head, and you find out that things
Oh,
weren't exactly the way it's talked about today. So it kind of expands on like the urban legends and what actually happened, and it's really
okay. I am very excited to take on this journey because, like
good.
you, I read Goosebumps, read them multiple times, but was kind of like, I kind of wish these went a little harder. Like
Yeah.
they usually, no one really dies in Goosebumps, but there is such a good creepiness factor here. So I've always been curious about Fear Street, and I had read, I feel like, a handful of them. I feel like I read one about a beach house. And I read Silent Night. Oh, what was the
Oh,
beach house
yes.
one? Is that just
So
called Beach House?
yeah, Beach House is not part of the Fear Street series. It is part of the Point horror series. So it's
Okay.
it's basically a Fear Street book, but without any reference to Fear Street. So they're all pretty much the same. Like all of his Point horror books are identical to what you would find in Fear Street.
So that was an R.L. Stein Point horror one.
There's an R.L. Stein Point horror, so not Fear Street, but a lot of people confuse them because they're just so
Okay.
similar. Yeah,
Yeah. I read it at my friend's house, so that
it's a good
tracks.
book.
Okay. So that I did read Silent Night. Silent Night
Okay.
was fun, and
Mhm.
I've read The Prom Queen in
Awesome.
preparation
Yes, for the
for
movie.
the movie coming out. I'm really
Yes.
excited.
Me too. Me
I thought they did a really good job on the Netflix movies, so I'm
Yeah,
allowing
me
myself to be excited.
yeah, I wanted a Fear Street movie my entire life growing up, and when they finally did it, I didn't care that they weren't exactly like the books. They stray pretty far. Um, but just the idea of just having Fear Street movies and then them kind of matching the tone of the books was enough for me. I loved it, and I'm so happy that they're going to keep doing it.
Ah, me too. But today, for
Mhm.
this inaugural episode, we are talking about the first in the series. This is The New Girl, published in
Mhm.
1989. Um, so when did
Going
you
way.
first read The New Girl? Yeah.
That's a good question. Little spoiler, it's not my favorite of the series. So it was never a standout for me. I didn't start with it. I probably read it much later on in my Fear Street journey. I know I read it as a teenager. Um, and then I picked it up again maybe in my early 20s because I wanted to start this whole thing where I read all of the books from publication and publication order from beginning to end. So I picked it up and I read it, and then I like didn't continue on. So then a few years later, I went back to it and I read it again, and then started on with my Fear Street readathon. So this is probably my fourth time reading the book, fourth or fifth.
Oh, wow.
Um, but yeah, I don't know exactly when I read it. It would just been sometime in my teenage years, but I just remember it not being a standout book for me.
That's great. So it means we can only go up from here.
Right. And you do. I think it took a while for R.L. Stine to kind of find his footing because this is one of his very early horror books.
Yeah.
His first horror book was only published, I want to say 1987, maybe. I would need to fact check that, but it was only published a couple years before this one. So he had only written maybe five horror books at this point. So he was still, finding his footing and getting in the groove, I think.
I think so too. We were talking before recording about the amazing prologue to this book. It's like a page and a half, but I feel like it just really sets the tone. It's so
Mhm.
funny. And I thought we should share that with you. Do you want to read it or should I?
I can read it, totally.
Yeah,
All right, you ready for my
I'm so
dramatic
ready.
reading? Okay, prologue. Bye, Anna. Goodbye. Look down at her there, all crumpled, her dress all crumpled. She wouldn't like that. She was always so neat. She wouldn't like the blood, so dark and messy. You were always so perfect, Anna. You were always so bright and shiny, as if you were sparkly new every day. My diamond, Mom always said. And who was I then? Who was I while you were little Miss Perfect? Well, you're perfect now. You're perfectly dead. Ha ha! I shouldn't laugh, but it was so easy. I never dreamed it would be so easy. Oh, I dreamed about it a lot. I dreamed of it and wished, and oh, did I feel guilty. But I never knew it would be so easy. One push, and down you go. Look at you down there, all crumpled, so perfectly crumpled. And now the front door is opening. They are returning, and I am starting to cry. It is a horrible tragedy after all, a horrible, tragic accident. I must cry for you now, and I must run and tell them, Anna's dead. Mom, come quickly. It's all too horrible, but Anna's dead.
And
There
that
you
is
go.
our introduction to
That's right.
The New Girl, which we will get into the plot of this book, but I'll
Yes.
give you a quick plot summary. Essentially, we are following a boy named Cory who sees this kind of ethereal new girl at school, and he finds out her name is Anna, but she's just very elusive. She wears these kind of old-timey clothes, and like no one has really seen her except his neighbor Lisa. And like he always gets these like dreams at night and like goes to visit her, and like when he does, there's someone there who tells her that Anna's dead.
Right.
So, what could
Very
that mean?
confusing. Yes.
Ooh.
She's a ghost? What is she?
I thought this book was funny. I had a lot of feelings going into it. We will get into that.
Yes.
But Corey is a gymnast, which I thought was interesting. I was like, this is Chekhov's gymnastics. Okay. Like, you do not introduce someone as a competitive gymnast unless in a horror story, unless that is going to come into play later. It's like saying someone is an archer or a sharpshooter in a horror book.
Right.
Like, it's gotta come into play. uh, and I love that when we're introduced to him, or like in one of the early chapters, he's like doing a handstand in the lunchroom and like does a handstand into like spaghetti or
Yeah.
something.
He's like balancing his lunch on his hand while standing on his other hand, and then he ends up face planting.
From the Friday the 13th franchise, we should know that like if guys can do weird handstand stuff, they will do it to their detriment.
Yes, exactly. Looking at you, Friday the 13th, part three.
But this is where we get introduced to Lisa, who has like an extra top for him in her locker. And I personally found the Lisa Corey dynamic frustrating.
Yes.
So
I'm very
frustrating.
frustrated for Lisa. As
Yes.
is minor swearing allowed on this podcast?
Yes, yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
So when you said that Cory was a gymnast, I thought you were going to say Cory was a dipshit.
I mean, they are not exclusive. A gymnast and a dipshit, to be honest.
Yes. Yes, he is so oblivious and poor what's her name? Lisa, she's trying, but she just is all out of patience. She's like, "You know what? I'm done."
Okay, I need Lisa to stand up. Like,
Mhm.
she is putting so much effort into this relationship. She is setting up dates, she is inviting him over, she asks him to dances, and he
Mhm.
is kind of just a passive person in this
He's aloof.
dynamic. But when it
Totally.
comes to Anna, is he passive?
No.
No. So we see that he is capable
Mhm. Yes.
of being an active participant in a relationship, and I don't know. I just wanna shake Lisa. I know she wants the Taylor Swift, "You belong with me," like, "We're neighbors and you're with the wrong girl. I see
Right.
you from across the window, and, like, one day you're gonna wake up and see that what you've been looking for has been here the whole time." I
Yes.
wanted to shake her. I'm like, "No, don't sell yourself so short.
Right. Yeah.
You're some dipshit gymnast. Stop it." Thank you so much for listening. Like I mentioned, the full episode is available on Patreon. I had so much fun talking about the new girl. This has been a really fun project, and I am very excited to continue on with it. So please let me know what your favorite Fear Street book was if you were a Fear Street kid. See you next time.